What's going on? I'm just saying, family back. I think we're in episode 3 now. Yeah, but I'm Jeremiah again. My guy, Will, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jeremiah. Good Thanksgiving break. Had a
Yeah,
ton of good basketball to watch. Happy to be back to break it all down.
man, beautiful. Like you said, going home, got a little reset before. Well, I didn't have final exams or whatever, but going home, seeing my family and stuff like that, that was pretty cool. I hung out with them a lot. I was with my mom every day. And then, Stranger Things came out. I don't know if you're a big Stranger Things fan or not, but I stayed up 3 in the morning, binge watching when it first came out with my sister and stuff like that. But overall, man, it's been nothing but hoops, like you said, watching it. College football still going on. We're about to get to the nick of things and stuff like that. But yeah, we can get into it if you're ready, my guy.
Yeah, I'm about to say I am a Stranger Things guy. I've not yet had the opportunity to watch the new season, but I will say, like, since I've got since they're doing like it in three parts, I guess I've got a little bit of time. I'm not that behind yet,
Yeah.
but I'll have to get on it for sure. I've been on it. Welcome to Derry. That's been my thing.
Is that nice? I've heard some good things about
Ooh, man, it's awesome. I think if you're a Stranger Things guy, I think it's like Stranger Things but better, personally. But I
it.
mean, like I love it. Like I've always been obsessed with that movie, so I like it a lot. You should too. I think you should watch it.
Okay, I might too, man. But like we said, back to basketball, we got four pretty big games. Really, like we're not in the fluff season anymore. Definitely into the big nick of things and non-conference games that really matter. That really shows who Tennessee who they are. The games that we missed: Rutgers win, Houston win, a Kansas loss, and a Syracuse loss. Uh, how you want to do it? We can go game by game, go overarching things. How you want to do it?
We I guess we can talk about Vegas as a whole, and then kind of
Okay.
get into that ugly Syracuse game on Tuesday night because that deserves probably a fair segment itself.
Yeah,
But
nasty.
um, I guess we can start things off with Rutgers. I thought what last time we talked, we talked about that Rutgers game. And I said that I thought it was an opportunity for Tennessee to flex its muscles up against a power four team. Granted, they're not as talented as some of the other teams that Tennessee will play the rest of the way. And we've quickly learned that. But I thought it was an opportunity to kind of shed some light on a good Tennessee basketball team, a Tennessee basketball team that wasn't getting a ton of respect preseason. And Ja'Kobi Gillespie goes for a career best 32 points in just 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, Tennessee led by as much as 36 in that one against Rutgers. And I just thought you had an all around really, really solid performance. And Gillespie goes 11 of 20, 6 of 10 from behind the arc. Really efficient play. And I think that showcased what he could be at his best, and that is an SEC Player of the Year candidate. So at least in that Rutgers game, I thought it was an opportunity, and Tennessee made the most of it. What'd you make of that one?
Like you said, it was a flexion muscles game, man. I think because I've been arguing with my people I know that talk sports. You can't talk about everybody, but the guys I do know that talk sports, like Ja'Kobi Gillespie is one of the best guards in the country.
Yeah,
It's that simple, and I think he's continued to show that. I think Rick Barnes, this system and this team is allowing him to be the guy. Because Maryland, he showed glimpses of this and stuff like that. But Dairy Queen, the lottery pick, he was there too. So it was like, okay, he's the guy. He's from Montverde, the phenom freshman. He's going to do it. But I think coming to Tennessee, he's really like being able to be the older guy on his team and really take the ropes and hey, here, Rick Barnes, I'm going to take the keys from you. Trust me, I got you. And I think those are one of these games you can see like how efficient he is from three, how efficient he is getting the buckets and penetrating the paint and the playmaking as well. So I think that was a really good game for him, and that really shows like because I know this now in the days of college basketball is young guys, young guards. But you got to remember that these are guys like Braden Smith, for example. He's in a conversation with Braden Smith. Hey, he's one of the best guards in the country. Ja'Kobi Gillespie, you have to put him in this conversation when you're saying who are the best point guards in the country. Ja'Kobi Gillespie put his name in that. I
yeah.
think Rutgers game really showed that. Overarching things for like team wise, I mean, like you said, rebounding has been a big thing that we talked about. We talked about that in the first two pods, I think, hey, these guys are crashing offensive and defensive glasses. And also, what else stood out to me? Just a physicality thing, a Tennessee thing that has been since been watching Tennessee basketball, how physical these teams are going to be, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that what word am I looking for?
Identity.
Yeah, the identity, yes, the identity of Tennessee that we have seen is still looming in the locker room for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Gillespie, and obviously that was a big talking point for me as well. But you talk about those team numbers. I want to tie Gillespie's performance into those team numbers because Tennessee against Rutgers shot 50% from the field, 31 of 61, and
Mhm.
then a season best 50% from three, 11 of 22. I think that's a direct correlation of Bishop Boswell running this offense at a really efficient rate because obviously he was hitting shots. He had 32 points. He shot the ball very efficiently, goes 11 of 20. But when he's in rhythm, that then allows everyone else to get in rhythm as well. That allows for, Bishop Boswell to be able to attack the paint a little bit more. That allows for Nate Ament to have some more open looks on the perimeter. One of the best things about that Rutgers game was that Gillespie would take it inside or draw a double team, and then Ament would be wide open or whoever it would be on the, because Rutgers was running a 2-3 zone at the time. So when he would attack the paint and split the zone, you had a lot of options. And like that type of stuff, I think is really beneficial for Tennessee moving forward because when Gillespie is hot, he's going to draw that attention. That opens things up for those perimeter shots that we have talked about continue to be an issue for this team. And, we'll get into Houston, Kansas, and Syracuse here in a minute where those have been apparent. But again, shooting the ball at an efficient rate is a direct correlation of the type of play you get from Gillespie. Another guard I want to talk about, though, and this could honestly be a good segue
Okay.
into Houston. In the Rutgers game, Bishop Boswell, career high 5 assists, career best 3 steals. Against Houston, this guy was all over the court.
Man.
Bishop Boswell, to me, is becoming the Jemai Meshack of last year.
Mhm.
Boswell's not a guy that's going to draw a lot of attention on the perimeter. We know that. But I think he has really embraced his role as the do-it-all guy. And that was Meshack last year. There were a lot of debates of whether he should have been taken off the floor, taken out of the starting lineup. And, I was a part of that crowd at one point as well, I'll fully admit. But on these Barnes teams, you need guys like that are going to get up in people's grill, that are going to be an active defender, that are going to be active in transition. Because I thought Tennessee took that performance against Rutgers and went into Houston with a lot of momentum. A big reason and a big player because of that is Bishop Boswell, who I thought played his best game in a Tennessee uniform against Houston. And that was a direct reflection of the type of defense they played, the type of transition offense they had, and really, that second half against Houston, I thought was Tennessee's best performance of basketball throughout this season. Jemai Meshack, really valuable last year. I think Bishop Boswell's playing that same role this year. Rick Barnes talked about it as well, saying there hasn't been another guy on this team that has put more time in than Boswell in the offseason and wants to play this role. I think that's really important for this Tennessee team. What'd you make of him? And also kind of segue into that Houston game. What were your takeaways from that one?
Like you said, I mean, anytime a coach says your name, an opposing team's coach says your name in a post conference, you know you did something good. That's what Kelvin Simpson was talking about. He said the guy that I'm going to point at that I can say, hey, we lost the game because of this guy right here. It's Bishop Boswell. He said that guy played his heart out and he was everywhere on the floor. When you have a guy that can go guard the other team's best guard, I think Barnes put him on using the whole second half.
Mm-hmm.
I think he guarded him the whole second half in his grill, making him turn his hips like a defender's supposed to do. He played really good defense. I'm texting you during the game. I'm like, bro, I'm really impressed with Bishop right now because I'm
Yeah.
not a Bishop fan, especially last year. I hated when he got minutes because he played so scared. He played like he was thinking playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's not you're not going to ever play good basketball while you're thinking. But seeing him definitely, you could definitely see the maturity level grow from this year to, I mean, from last year to this year, and you could tell that he's more comfortable in the role that he has to be because he's like, hey, I don't have to score, but I have a like his go-to spin move. He somehow hits every game in the
Yeah.
clutch. Like, he has a spin move that he hits every game in the clutch. I can go to this when I need it. He's hitting his open threes. He's making right passes to Felix Okpara, Jaylen Carey. He's making the right passes. And I'm guarding the best perimeter guy on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Can't ask for anything more than that, especially as a guy that came really from nothing last year. No minutes at all. But some more takeaways I had from Houston, it's definitely a 90-day difference, man. Like with scoring with the 1-2 punch of Ja'Kobi Gillespie and Nate Ament. Gillespie kind of cleaned it up definitely in clutch time. Like he's shows you he's a closer. He can elevate his game when it needs to be. But that whole game was like a night and different. Like the first day against Rutgers and the second day against Houston, it was like, wow, like we're not looking at the same guys. These guys went from a 30-point performance from Gillespie, efficient shooting, out of his world 3-point shooting. Nate Ament doing the same thing. He was 20 points, 4 for 6 from three, I think. He was hooping. But like we said in the other pod, these guys, when they see Nate, they're going to get under his skin. They're not going to let him be the 6'10" guy that's going to shoot over every. We're going to run him out the 3-point line, make him put the ball on the floor, make him turn over the ball. And I think that's definitely what Houston showed, and that is a weakness that we ended up seeing in Syracuse as well. But they definitely got to Nate for sure. Let me see his stat line. He had 9 points, and he was only 1 from 8 from the field, 0 for 4 from three.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making him shoot tough shots. They're getting on it, and he's 18. He's a freshman. We knew these games were going to come. Nobody's going to be perfect, probably except Cameron Boozer. This is not a Duke pie, but yeah, like nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be the guy every game. But somehow, some way, Nate, we need you to like, okay, Barnes put you in this situation early because you know at the SEC is the hardest division, the hardest conference to play in. We put you in these games early so you can see how this feels and see how teams are going to play you. You still have to play well regardless of how teams are guarding you. You know they're going to guard you because they think you're one of the best players in the country, which you are.
You know, that Houston game, I think we could have come to expect that they were going to give Tennessee a really good defensive battle. That's how Kelvin Sampson teams are built. And that was how that Elite Eight matchup was set up to be. Two really good defensive coaches going up against each other. But I thought what won the game was Tennessee's defensive effort in that second half, to where, yeah, you had, some of your big characters in Gillespie and Ament struggle to score at an efficient rate, but Tennessee's defense smothered them. I mean, Houston was really bad for the first 15, 13 minutes of that second half, to where they were shooting like 30%. And Tennessee was able to get some buckets, some easy ones, some transition points. And I thought that was really big. But again, that's Bishop Boswell being all over the floor, making a lot of different plays there, forcing turnovers, turning it into offense. I thought that was really, really beneficial. And I'd really say the Houston game was the start of what is now becoming the Jaylen Carey experience.
Yeah.
Jaylen Carey was a dog in that Houston game. And that was one of the big things that we had talked about at the beginning of the season, all that depth down low. But the reason why you got those guys was because of what went down in the Elite Eight game last year. You got bullied on the boards. You got bullied down low. Like, you just didn't have those bruisers, those interior forces. Now you got a couple of them. And
Yeah.
Jaylen Carey, I mean, that guy ate his Wheaties growing up. I mean, he is strong as can be.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to, bump around and get physical. And sometimes that can come back to bite him, getting in foul trouble. He got in foul trouble against Rutgers, and did as well against Syracuse. But the emergence of him over these last couple of games, I think, started in that Houston game, and getting that confidence has been really, really big for him, because at least in non-con play, he was a little bit of an afterthought, a guy that you didn't know if it was going to really pan out, but he's played some of his best basketball up against really good teams. So overall, that Houston win was one that you needed for morale, a great bounce back after last year. You had the really, really strong defensive performance. I thought there was clutch offense in that second half, and Jaylen Carey kind of made a name for himself, and it's continued. So the issue with winning a game like that is you got to go play another one the next day.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I was pretty upset that Tennessee was playing in the third place game.
Yeah.
That's I guess a topic for another day. I mean, I do like the Players Era tournament, even though it's kind of taken away Maui and the Bahamas tournaments. But I think they've got to change the way they schedule it, because like Tennessee is 2-0. They just beat the number 3 team in the country, and they're in the third place game because Gonzaga and Michigan got to beat up on some inferior teams. Tennessee did as well, and that makes you a little bit upset that they didn't pour it on Rutgers a little bit more. But you go into that Kansas game coming off the biggest win of the season, and really an important win coming off of last year's loss. And I thought Tennessee looked really flat second half. just like a group that had kind of been tired out, kind of already gave it all against Houston. And Kansas is a talented team. I know Peterson wasn't playing, but like they're still a very talented team. Like they've got a lot of good players, and Bill Self is a respected coach, has all the credentials to be able to, win games like that. And I thought Tennessee kind of let off the gas, and that was kind of the start of what has been an ugly stretch for Nate Ament over. Well, I guess the Houston game was, but I thought against Kansas, Ament was really, really uncomfortable as well. Carey played fine, but I think you saw what this team could look like when things are not going in the basket offensively. Gillespie's not able to be the SEC Player of the Year candidate that we think he can be. Ament gets shut down and taken out of the game. Second half of Kansas was really ugly, and it was not a good response after that Houston win.
Yeah, it was super flat because I remember I was watching it, then I went away. I may have been, I think I was on the road back to Memphis, actually. I'm pretty sure I was. But I was just watching it and I was like, man, like, what's going on? Like, the team, I feel like the team just lost all juice. I mean, a part of it could be fatigue. It, it just like the team lost it. But I think a big part of and a reason to why I said Gillespie will be this year's MVP because he's the heartbeat of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when he's struggling, everybody else is struggling. He went, where did he go? 5 for 19 from the field, 1 for 10 from three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was still being a ball handler and setting up others, but you have like if you're going to shoot that many shots, you have to score.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to miss that much, then you have to give us more assists. You have to play make a little bit more. So it's like Gillespie, you have to understand. Yes, you're not going to be perfect, but you're the heartbeat of the team. You got to find other ways to win when things don't go your way.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the nasty stretch for Nate. Yeah, he ended up with 20, but he was 5 for 15 from three with 2 turnovers. But what saved him was free throws. He went 8 for 8 from the line.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad to see that he was able to like still produce regardless of him struggling. But we do have to find ways to give him more higher percentage shots. Like he gets in those Rutgers games, like he
Mm-hmm.
gets in those Rice games, like he gets in those these like you said low level conference game, like low level non-con games. So it's like I don't know if that's an offensive thing or if that's just a game plan thing that the other teams are looking at like, hey, we're not going to allow this guy to beat us, make everybody else. And like you said, the Jaylen Carey experience had a double double off the bench, 11 points and 10 rebounds. I think I don't really know what it was, to be honest. Like I don't remember watching it and like really see. I think it was just everything was sloppy, shooting bad shots, shooting like late in the shot clock, forcing shots. I think those were things we weren't getting things set up. And I think those were things that were glaring because I remember when Don Connect was here, it was like we run the same set every play. And I think that was something that's glaring, but it has worked a little bit better because Gillespie is really good at penetrating and getting his own shot. So the little set that Rick Barnes does when they do the pin down screens it didn't look as bad. But I think definitely there, like you said, Self is a great coach, phenomenal coach. I think he definitely game plan was like, hey, we're gonna take this away from this guy, make him fight a little bit harder, make him more tired to get the ball, and then we're gonna waste their time. So they got to score with less than 10 seconds on the shot clock. And
Mm-hmm.
I think those are things that you can see that was pretty apparent. I think I was really disappointed in that because it was actually the first time that Tennessee actually won a turnover battle. So obviously you could just say it was everything was flat, like you said, it wasn't anything special. They let their foot off the gas. I understand 3 games in 3 days is a lot. It's definitely a lot. But I think I was just disappointed that Kansas wasn't at it as full string. Darren Peterson didn't play, and they still lost. And and it was like they gave it up. It wasn't like you were getting dominated the whole game. You won 35 of the 40 minutes
Yeah.
you played, and like you just gave it away. So yeah, for sure.
You know, I think it's good that we kind of did this transition because I think bits and pieces from each game have kind of overlapped. And I feel like this Kansas game, the second half overlapped with what we saw unfold Tuesday night against Syracuse.
Yeah.
Because as you're talking about against Kansas, you're forced into the shot clock late a bunch of times. You're forced to take bad shots. Nate Ament has a couple of, head scratching moments
Yeah.
where he's a little bit out of control. And then, I would agree. I thought Tennessee was the better team against Kansas. But if you're not able to finish a game and keep a team within arm's distance, Kansas is a talented enough team to come back and win. We see this all the time in the tournament, by the way. March Madness, it's a game of runs, but it's the whole goal is which team can hold on to the lead and keep the opponent within arm's distance, or keep away from arm's distance, I should say. And I didn't think Tennessee ever got that cushion against Kansas. They were always hanging around where the Jayhawks. And while you were up on the scoreboard for most of that game, late Tennessee started to kind of crumble. And, you could say 3 games in 3 days, but Kansas also did that, and they were able to come out there with a win. So that half of basketball I thought was very discouraging, but I tried to turn a blind eye to it and say, it was a long week coming off an emotional win. Barnes said after the game, it was pretty funny. Barnes said, I don't think last year's team could have beat Houston.
They definitely would have lost to Kansas.
But they would not have lost to Kansas.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had that type of mindset going into that game against the Jayhawks. So, Barnes is awesome, and he's always going to give us these really cool, funny quotes, much better than what Josh Heupel gives us in a bunch of hoopla. But it carried into that Syracuse game. The weird thing about the Syracuse game to me was, first off, it was snowing, so like that was obviously a little bit of a problem for fans, like getting into the game. The vibe was kind of dead first half.
It was.
I wasn't a huge fan of the announcers, and I listen to that stuff because we're journalism, broadcasting, like it just felt dead. And then Tennessee was not playing well, so it even felt more dead. And I don't know if the vibe was just off, but it didn't feel like Tennessee ever really clocked in. And a lot of those same characteristics you had in that Syracuse game, or excuse me, a Kansas game in the second half were on full display in this one. Getting forced late into the shot clock, not a whole lot of movement, bad turnovers, not hitting open shots. Ament was really bad in this one. I think this might have been his worst performance.
For
And,
sure.
and we can, I guess, do an overlapping conversation after we kind of put a bow on Syracuse, because I do want to talk about Ament because I have some issues with him at the moment. Not that I don't think he can be good long term, but just right now it's tough. But a lot of those same characteristics where I thought you were doing a good job defensively, holding Syracuse to, the 5-10 second mark in the shot clock, forcing some late shots themselves, but they were hitting them. And that's kind of that home court advantage that they're going to get. They're going to be able to hit some shots in their own building. But Tennessee was not good in the fast break. Syracuse goes on, a 9-0 advantage in fast break points. Tennessee outscores Syracuse in terms of bench points, 32-9. And a lot of that's Jaylen Carey. Jaylen Carey had a really good performance. And again, I think is establishing himself as a top 4 player on this roster. I could even go higher than that, maybe 3. But you just did not have the offensive creation. You didn't have the shot making. And when your 2 best players are kind of taken out of the game, you're not going to be able to find a whole lot of success. And Gillespie just has 10 points. He had a game high 7 assists. I thought it, at least for the most part, did his job in terms of being a facilitator. But Ament goes 11 points, 6 rebounds. Like, you can't have that from your top 2 players. You can't have 21 points out of your top 2 players. I thought Boswell was still active defensively. And I thought as a group, you hold a Syracuse to just 62 points in their own building. I think most times in a matchup like that against a power 4 opponent of Syracuse's caliber, you're going to win games. And Kings was a guy that dominated this one early in the game for Syracuse. He had 19 points at halftime. He didn't score another one after that. So I thought there were good defensive moments, but it was really just a lapse offensively where you're just not able to get any sort of momentum, and you're forced late into the shot clock. Foul trouble was ugly. A lot of like charges and offensive fouls. Just an ugly performance. And like having that in back-to-back games is concerning, and I think shows maybe some bigger issues for this Tennessee team that we can talk about here in a minute. But your takeaways from this one?
I think, like you said, Tennessee never clocked in. We've talked about these rough starts that Tennessee has had in the past few seasons, and they missed their first 6 shots. Carey did come in and give them some juice, but That can't happen, especially on the road. Like, these are going to be the games where you're not going to get as many calls. You're not going to get as many things to fall because it's not your home gym. So you have to start off with some juice, run an easy set. I know y'all talk about sets before y'all even go out on the floor. So it's like, why don't we have a set that we know that can get an easy bucket to get the ball in the basket so we can get going. I think another thing that really stood out to me, what did I was about to say? Turnovers, man. I think Tennessee has averaged maybe, I don't know the exact number, but I think I've seen at least 15 turnovers in the past 5 games this season, somehow, some way. Tennessee has been really bad at taking care of the ball, and Amen is a part of that problem. He had 7 turnovers this game.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know what it's coming. I don't know if it's coming from soft passes. I don't know if it's coming from trying to drive where there's a lot of traffic. I don't know if it's coming from a loose handle. But 7 turnovers is absolutely unacceptable, and I know Barnes tore him up post game. Like, hey man, don't ever you can't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pay you. He
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly like he told Lanier, we don't pay you that money to do that. You
Yeah.
can't do that. So yeah, 7 turnovers was ridiculous. Like you said, 1-2 punch, Gillespie, Ament. Y'all can't have 21 points, especially an inefficient 21 points at that too. Ament went 2 for 10 from the field, and
Mm-hmm.
Gillespie went 5 for 12, over 3 from 3. So we can't do that, y'all.
No.
I know you
No.
won't have every game won't be good, but like I said, you have to find other ways to win. You have to if the three's not falling, find a way to get to the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get to the free throw line, hit down. You got to knock down your open shots when you take them when you get them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most surprising thing for me was Tennessee's free throw shooting. Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
8 for 15 from the free throw line, and you lost by 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit 12 for 15, you wouldn't even be in that situation. 8 for 15 is really unacceptable. That's 50%. That's a little bit over 50%.
Yeah.
For as disciplined of a coach that Barnes is, and I think he cares about the little things like boxing out, closing out with high hands, and then cutting them out the drive, forcing them into help side. I know he cares about free throws. I know they take the time because I've been in the practice where they have a segment of free throw shooting. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what are we doing to miss that many free throws? Especially like I said, on a road game, you have to take the ones that you can take. You have to
Yeah.
control the things that you can control, and I don't think that's what they did at all. Um, and that just really showed offense was stagnant. We had a lot of late clock. We need someone to do something, type of
Yeah.
possessions. Um, and that's where the inefficiency came from, I think, as far as shooting and turnovers and stuff like that. But yeah,
So kind of taking these 3 to 4 games, right? And trying to get these overarching takes. Let's start with Nate Ament because I think he's one of the talking points right now of this team. Rick Barnes, following the loss Tuesday, says that he's trying to do too much. He's put too much pressure on himself. He's got to trust his teammates. And I would agree with a lot of that. And I think it's evident in a lot of the play because he's just forcing shots. He's forced like, and the big thing Barnes has talked about is he cannot play like he did in high school. In high school, he's 6'10, bigger than everyone, longer frame than everyone, can get to his spots a lot easier. And we know that AAU basketball in 2025 is much different than a structured, zone defense that you're going to go up against from Houston or Kansas, stuff like that. And that's no straight to AAU basketball. We just know how it is these days. It's a lot of highlight chasing numbers, stuff like that. And he's not going to be able to do the same type of stuff he did in high school in college now. And I think he's got to learn that because he's put himself in really tough situations. He's not giving himself any momentum. And I honestly think Tennessee should maybe look to put him off ball a little bit more and run off ball sets for him, similar to what they do for Gillespie. Just try to get him open looks because I think his on ball stuff right now is just too out of control.
yeah,
And I know the handle was something he had worked on in his senior year of high school. And that was one of the things he improved a lot on. But like even last night, there were a couple of moments where he was dribbling. It just doesn't look together. This is gonna be a wild comparison. But he reminds me of like, I played NBA 2K growing up a ton. He reminds me of like one of those kind of like demigod builds that like it's got a low playmaking, but he's so long and he's like
Yeah.
able to do a couple of
Shoot the
moves,
ball. Yeah.
but he can't do them all. Like that's what it reminds me of. And I know that's an extreme comparison, but it's like there's not as much fluidity as I would like, and as much fluidity as I saw in high school when he was going up against those type of opponents. So I think I would look to play him more off ball and see if you can get him in rhythm that way. What do you make of Ament right now?
I think youth shows, man. Like you said, youth shows. He's so used to, hey, I'm bigger than you. I put on 20 pounds of muscle this off season. I can bully you. And like you said, he's a wing, so he's not really facing anybody that's in the 7 foot range, that's in the in the 6'10" and up range. He's really getting guarded by guys that are 6'6". But the things that these guys that are 6'6" and 6'7", 6'8" are kind of doing, they're being really, really physical with him. Yeah, you might have gained him a few pounds, but I'm a 22, 23-year-old grown man essentially, and you're still 18.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of how much muscle you put on, I've been putting on muscle for the last 4 to 5 years. I'm going to push you and guard you. We saw that in because Houston is a relatively old team. They have young guys, but they're really late. They're really breeding. Hey, we're going to play 4 years in this program. We're going to be really good, and then we're going to go in and play basketball elsewhere.
Yep.
But you could definitely see the physicality. Hey, yes, you're taller than me. Yes, you're bigger than me. Yes, you probably put on some weight, but I have the same amount of muscle, if not more. So I'm going to be really physical with you, and I'm going to make you take awkward shots because I've seen it a lot with him. He gets back to he get his back to the basket, and he turns around like
Yeah.
shoots the ball where like his hips are facing this way, then his hands are that way. So it's like these are awkward shots. Yeah, you may work on them. You may feel like you're used to it and you square up, but it's like you need to be fully squared up. You need to be like take on what KD does. People compare you to
Yeah.
Kevin Durant a lot. Take on what KD does. Yes, KD can hit those awkward shots, but he's really good at, hey, if the defense is going to be as physical with me, I know how to take that contact and help myself square up to shoot those things. As far, I think I don't really have a problem. I knew that the struggling from the field would come. I think my biggest thing is like you said, the turnovers. We got to be better than this somehow.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like you said. I don't really like when he puts the ball on the floor. I'd rather him learn how to score in a king of the court type of play. Hey, 3 dribbles, let me get to my spot. I don't want to be doing hang crossovers like I'm Allen Iverson and
Yeah.
trying to size a person. I'm 6'10", I'm not as quick. So yes, that may work for Gillespie because Gillespie has a really good handle. And he's really good at breaking down his defenders in
Mm-hmm.
those, hey, I need to do something before the shot clock runs out type of
Mm-hmm.
possessions. But if Amen is able to, hey, come off a pin down or like a driving kick. Oh, they cut me off. 1-2, pull up, 1-2, crossover to the three, pull up. I think he'll be more comfortable. He needs to simplify the game so before the game becomes too complicated for him to catch up with. I think that's the real problem.
You mentioned Kevin Durant. How about Jabari Smith? I think
Yes.
Jabari Smith's a little bit of an easier comparison because he
Yeah.
just played like a couple of years ago at Auburn.
Yeah.
Like I think someone like that would be. I mean, if I were him, Nate Ament, I'd turn on Jabari Smith film, see what
Yeah.
I could get from that because like he's a guy that's played in this conference before, has played similar opponents. Like, and I think Smith was a little bit more comfortable in his body than Ament is at this point. But like that's a guy that has recent experience that I think it would be beneficial to look at and see how he plays. But yeah, a lot of the same things you point on. Um, there's some people in the fan base right now. They're like, what a waste of money. He's a bust, blah blah blah, and he's sliding down some draft boards right now. I saw one this morning, 17, and that was a guy that was top 5 like a month ago. But he'll have his opportunities, and I'm not out on him yet. I just think he's young and he's got to figure it out, and he hadn't done that yet.
Yeah.
But a guy that I think will help is Jaylen Carey. We talked about him in that Houston game. Thought he played really well against Syracuse as well. What he is the blank best player on this team right now in your eyes?
I mean, I think it would just be like, I don't want recency bias to just like overtake me right here. Um, but it's like, do I want to like be respectful and know like, hey, these guys are better than him? Okay, can I give my two different answers? I have
Okay. Okay.
what he's playing like right now, and then
Mm-hmm.
I have a what he is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start my what he is.
Okay.
I believe at the best Tennessee team, the best Tennessee team,
With everyone playing their best.
with everybody playing their best, he's the third best player. Just because of how
I would
good.
disagree with that too.
Okay, okay. I think like Syracuse game really showed me like how strong, like you said, bro, this guy eats his Wheaties. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
strong. Like he's really aggressive. Like he's really aggressive at the drop steps, the hook shots, the bank. If he's going to miss, he's going. I promise you, he's going to get his offensive rebound. He's going to go back up and
Mm-hmm.
probably get fouled, or he's going to make the layup. And I also think I like the pick and roll action and PNR action that him and Gillespie have more than I
Mm-hmm.
like Okpara's. I think his fluidity at his size is a little bit better than Okpara's is. And I think because Okpara, I think when he gets the ball, panics a little bit. But I think Carey is really comfortable, and you can see that he likes to go get his own buckets too.
Yeah.
So I would say at this team's best, where I think this team should be, he would be the third best player.
Okay.
Now, what he's playing like right now,
Yes.
I think he's the best player on the team right now.
Okay.
Um, like I'm the Gillespie train. Of course, he was my MVP. He was my preseason MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I said, it's a 90-day difference from hey, we play Rutgers. I can go crazy. But when we need to show up in a Kansas game, I need to show up in the Syracuse game, I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna not gonna shy away because like he's a point guard still, so he's gonna make plays and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that still. But I can't be as busy as I am against Rutgers. Now, if that could translate, and you don't need a 30-point game, but if I could get 18 points, 5 assists, that's better than 10 points on bad efficiency with 7 assists, or 10 points or 20 points on 20 shots and 8 free throws. That's better than that. But if you could get 18 points on maybe 12 shots and 5 to 6 assists, you're doing that's a hell of a job. But I think Carey, as far like you said, the Jaylen Carey show, we saw it first with Houston, then to continue with the double double against Kansas, and then now we're looking at what he just had against Syracuse, where we get a game where he has what do he have that game? Oh, let me see, double check right here. Jaylen Carey has 22 points and 9 rebounds on 10 of 16 shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, so I think at this team's best, he will be third. And right now, he's the best player on the team. He's the most consistent player on the team.
Well, I think you had a good reasoning for right now. I think over the last three games he has been your best. He has been your best player. I would agree with that. I don't. I think if everyone's at their best, though, I don't even. I don't even know if he's. I'd say he's five.
Behind who?
Ament at his best
Yeah,
is one or two. Gillespie at his best is one or two.
yeah,
I think we're forgetting about JP Estrella. I think we're forgetting about JP Estrella pre-injury.
I guess.
He's got the touch, and Carey does too, but Carey's a little bit more. He has to be a little bit more inside.
That's true.
You could give Estrella the ball, 5, 6, like 5 feet away from the rim, and he can go make a post up move, and he can also do what Carey's doing down low. He's banged up right now, and he didn't play against Syracuse either. So I think it's a little unfair to, totally write him off right now. But when he was playing, he was, I think, the third best player on the team. And we were talking about that, last episode or 2 episodes ago, whatever it was. And I'm not so sure he's better than Bishop Boswell at his best. Bishop Boswell turned the game. Bishop Boswell turned the game around against Houston.
Nah, yeah, that's crazy.
You don't agree with that?
I mean,
But
I like,
were we not just
yeah,
talking about how Bishop Boswell changed the game against
yeah.
Houston?
But I think we just saw no Jalen Carey doesn't have the game. He has Syracuse turns into a blowout.
I agree. I
I think
agree.
he went on a run by himself where he scored 6 to 8 points by himself in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have got really ugly because everybody wasn't showing up. And I think Bishop Boswell's role isn't as consistent as we think it's going to be as of right now. I think he's going to have those games where, yes, wow, that is a Jamai Mashack type of play. That is a Jamai Mashack type of game. Then he's going to have those places like, Bishop, what happened to what you just did last game? Now I may be writing him out and I may be a hater, but that's just what I think as of right now in the moment.
Well, I'm just because you gave me an avenue here. You gave me the
Yeah,
avenue to
I
say
did.
at their best.
I did. I did.
So at their best, I would go Ament or Gillespie, Ament, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Estrella, Boswell, Carey.
Okay.
That would be my at their best
I'm
because
with
I mean
That's
the
fair.
best win of the season was a product of what Bishop Boswell did, right?
It
And
was.
Carey was involved in that too, but I don't know. I just think at their best, Carey is like I'd still have Estrella over him because I mean I know it was non-conference play, but Estrella really has not had the opportunity against a quality opponent to show, and maybe that will change over time. But regardless of that, I do think Carey is playing. He's exceeded my expectations because I didn't really love him out of the portal. I thought he was going to be a really good athlete. Thought he was going to be a guy that could bang around down low, not a guy that could space the floor. I don't think he's necessarily changed that opinion, but he has been better and has been more efficient than I had thought. And I mean, he comes from a really good bloodline. His brother was a stud at Duke, and his father was a really good athlete as well. So he's got it in him, and it might just be getting on a bigger stage to be able to showcase it. I didn't think Vanderbilt used him correctly last year, as he was kind of almost like just a lob threat all the time. But I think this year, I mean, Syracuse, he was your go-to offensive source at one point. So
Yeah.
I think right now he's playing the best basketball over this 3-game stretch. Hoping to get Gillespie back to form, and kind of transitioning to that. If unless you have something to add about Carey, um, Illinois on Saturday is going to be a pretty big one.
Yeah. Uh, that one scares me. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm cool. You drop Kansas, okay. Yeah, we can't do that again. We got pretty lackluster. We got pretty shaken up in the second
Mm-hmm.
half. We saw that. We won. If the game ended with 32 minutes on the clock out of the 40 minutes played, we won the game.
Yeah,
But it's a 40-minute game and we lost juice and they gained it. But I think the Syracuse game bothered me because, like you said, 62 points, holding the team to 62 points in their home is really good. That's a really good performance.
yeah.
But it reminds me of an NFL team. Hey, like the Browns, for example. Hey, the Browns are really good on defense. They have arguably the greatest defensive player of all time on their team right now. Myles Garrett is playing out of his mind. Hey, but what can we do on offense? Can the offense meet the high caliber uh feel of the defense? And I think that's what scares me because Rick Barnes scheduled a lot of great games. These are not fluff non-conference games. Those fluff non-conference games were Rice and North Florida early this season. We're playing ranked guys after ranked guys after ranked guys. Yes, Syracuse wasn't ranked, but they're a Power 4 team. They're in the SEC for a reason. But Illinois, they're 13, I think. Who's after? Let
Yeah,
me
14 right now,
okay.
14 or
Okay.
13, right? Whatever poll you want to look at. But yeah, Bridgestone Arena, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, ABC or not ABC, ESPN slot though for this game.
Yeah, then you got Illinois. Then you got top 6 team in the country in Louis
Louisville.
at home. Yeah, but like that's a really good game for you. So it's like we don't have time to play around. Like the time is now, especially because you got a couple more games before SEC play starts. Those are the most important games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That gets you where you are in the SEC tournament. That gets you where you are in the March Madness rankings and the seeding. So what is the identity of this team? I think we kind of found the identity a little bit, but I think there's room for improvement for sure. And I think Barnes understands that, and hopefully the team as like players understand that, hey guys, we're not even playing as good at basketball as we could have, man. We're not we see that right now. 5-point loss to Kansas. Yeah, Kansas is a respectable team, okay. But a Syracuse loss, we shouldn't be losing those type of games. Those are the
No.
games we shouldn't be dropping. Especially when we're beating ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Poor shooting from the free throw line, turnover. We had 17 turnovers. Hey, Gillespie, you're not playing good. Nate, you're turning the ball over 7 times and you're not shooting well. How can we be better? Where can we get better? Do we need Bishop to step up a little bit more? Hey, Bishop, do you need to play a more offensive role? How can we get Carey going a little bit more, maybe? Even though he had 22 points in our rebounds, is there a way we can get him to 30? Is there a way we can set him up where he has more dunk opportunities or more layup opportunities? Um, I think Illinois is one of those ones where it's like it's not a confidence. Well, it can be a confidence builder if you go out there and play well and you win, but it's not one of those Rutgers games where hey, get your shots up. We're gonna see if it falls. Get your rhythm back together. You got to have your rhythm now. You got to go into that game with rhythm. So I can say it definitely scares me, and I can see this being a wow. Tennessee just dropped 3 games in a row. They're not top 25 in the country anymore. Type of game. So that scares me. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, both these games. I mean, when you looked at this upcoming stretch, like you knew you were going to play some good teams. And
Yeah,
it started with Houston, and you win that one. You're like, man, that was probably the toughest one we were going to have to play. And we come out of there with a win on a neutral site court. And you drop the one to Kansas. Okay, you know what? It's all right. But we're 7.5 point favorites against Syracuse. Surely you'll get it done without one of their best players playing. And you don't. Now it's like, okay, you've dropped two in a row. You've got two more opportunities to tighten things up before you go play the SEC gauntlet. And by
yeah,
the way, like these games are important.
very.
When seeding come March are going to come down to these type of games. Now you've lost to Syracuse, who's probably going to be I mean, I'd say a 8 seed,
8-9. I was about to say 8-9. They're gonna be 8-9.
yeah, 8-9 to a bubble team.
Yeah,
Kansas is going to be, I'd say, a 5 to a 4 to a 6. But those are like seeding games
yeah,
to where if Tennessee's on that cut line at a 5 and it's between them and Kansas, you're now going to be a 6 seed because you lost that head to head game. And like college, I know there's so much talk about, head to head and stuff like that with college football right now. College basketball, head to head is pretty damn important.
yeah.
Like
It is very.
head to head, if you're on the cut line with another team, head to head, they'll put you over because of it. Now you got two opportunities. Illinois, going to be a March Madness team, going to be in the tournament. They're going to be a top 5 seed, top 6 seed. Louisville, right now, looking like a top 3 or 3 seed.
They're nice, man. They're nice.
And you've got them in your home building. So you've got two quad one games coming up, one on a neutral site, one at home. You've got to get these wins because in the SEC, it's probably going to be, win two, lose one. That's just how it goes right now. And there are teams like Vanderbilt that have kind of come out of the woodwork and are going to be like one of the best teams in the conference right now. Like net rating came out earlier this week. I don't know if you saw it. Vanderbilt's top 4 in the country.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt's the best team in the SEC. You're going to be going up against some teams that are better than you thought, some teams that are a little bit less than you thought, but still the SEC is really, really good. And you're going to have to go through a gauntlet. Right now is the opportunity to get some big resume wins. So my expectation's 2-0 because you drop both of these, you're
yeah.
going into SEC play at 9-4, and you're not even ranked. So, I mean, both these games are played in Tennessee. One's in Nashville, one's in Knoxville. You got to win both in my eyes. Are you kind of putting that same pressure on the Vols?
No, for sure, because like you said, SEC, you're gonna drop some games. We saw that last year. Was that a Mississippi State loss?
Yeah, Ole Miss. I mean,
Yeah, Ole Miss. Like those are these guys are gonna give you a little bit more than you probably put on the scouting report. These guys are gonna give you like Malik did. He had a beautiful game at Oxford last year. He was really dominating everywhere. These guys that you have on the scout report, I'm like, oh, I didn't know he had that. Or then he's giving that a little. He's giving us a little bit more of that than we expected because Tennessee is somehow top 5 every season, but you got to think about it. There's always 5 to 6 losses in the loss column. If you pick up 4 in non-conference games, which
mm-hmm.
Tennessee hasn't done in a long time, especially since I've been here and stuff like that, you may be you could almost be in the worst case scenario a 10-loss team going into March.
Mm-hmm. And
I know
that's
you,
a bubble team
yeah,
probably.
I know you won't get a top seed with 10 losses, knowing what the SEC could do to you,
I mean,
knowing how good these teams are.
last year the cut line was around. I don't know. Georgia had a lot of losses somehow. Made.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on how the season goes. But like, I thought Georgia was a bad team, and they ended up making it. But like, you can't count on that every year. I mean, but if you lose these two, you don't have anything to say out of conference.
at all.
You got to win over Houston. That means something. But like, and you lost the other 4 games of importance.
Yeah. which is like, I think in the worst case scenario in these next two games, you got to split them. But one of those wins has to be a dominant win, in my opinion. It's either you win both of them in a gritty way, or you beat one of these guys by 10 to 15 point spread. I'm like, oh wow, Tennessee just played great basketball and beat.
Hmm.
I think this is what I'm expecting. You have to, just for the outlook of your season and what you're going to go to into SEC play, because I think they got like a SC State game right
Yeah,
before
you got
Arkansas.
Gardner Webb and
Yeah,
South Carolina State right
yeah.
before you go
And then you
you
go
host
straight into
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have to somehow, some way be like, if we pick up, let's just say we go 2-0. Let's go 2-0. Oh, Illinois win. Even better win versus Louisville. Then you're gonna beat up on Gardner Webb and SC State. So it's like, Arkansas, we ready for you. Like we're gonna give you all we got.
Hmm.
And speaking of Arkansas, they just beat Louisville. So that
Hmm.
shows you right there how good these SEC teams can be. Because
Hmm.
Louisville's the top 6 team in the country, and Arkansas was right on at 24-25.
Hmm.
So nobody you're going to play in SEC play is going to be a pushover. Even the ones that are unranked, like probably LSU, Texas, these guys aren't going to be a pushover. You're going to go to these guys that's going to make the games even worse.
Hmm.
So, like I said, you have to either split these games, go 1-1 with a dominant win, 10 to 15 point spread, and one of them in a really close, like, dang, we almost had it, but it came down to 2 plays that we lost the game. Or you're going to grind out these wins, 1 to 2 possession wins on both games, and because these teams are really good, that
Hmm.
makes you like, okay, Tennessee's real. Tennessee is not going to lose 4 games in a row, right? That's
Yeah,
ridiculous. Because, like I said, Syracuse is unacceptable. That's an unacceptable loss.
yeah. I know.
No matter how good they may be, Syracuse is an unacceptable loss. They were a 3-loss team
Hmm.
before they played Tennessee.
Hmm.
You got to win those type of games. Those are the
Hmm.
games you have to take care of. Like I said, I'm not mad at a Bill Sub Blue Blood, Kansas for sure. Y'all ran out of gas 3 games in 3 days. They pushed a little bit better. He probably coached a little bit better than Barnes. Okay. But a Syracuse win is unacceptable. Now they push you on the back burner. It's like, okay, we've lost 2 in a row. We lose 3 in a row. That's ugly. Then we lose 4 in a row. Then this season may not be as good as we think it,
Hmm.
it could have been. We're not going to meet the projections that we thought we were going to meet early on preseason as a team.
It's all about momentum.
Yeah,
I mean, tournaments about momentum. The games are about momentum. You drop four in a row,
man.
there's an issue. I'd say the more important game in my eyes is Louisville because that's in your own building,
Yeah,
and I mean there'll be a pro Tennessee crowd for both games, but the Louisville win at home I think would be a statement. Illinois is a team you played really close last year. Kyan Boswell is a veteran point guard. You've got your own in Ja'Kobi Gillespie. My expectations win both these games because if you don't, as you're talking about, things could get ugly. So big stretch coming up for Tennessee basketball.
yeah. But before we end, I got one question.
Okay.
Um, what's the one thing you're looking for? What's the one theme or headline that you think we're going to see in the next game or two?
Does Nate Ament figure it out? Does he start? I mean, does he start looking more comfortable? Does he take strides? The last 3 games he hasn't. The last 3 games, I think it's continued to get worse. I thought Syracuse was the worst game he's played this season, and it wasn't great against Kansas, and he got bottled up against Houston.
Yeah,
So Barnes talked about it after the game. He's forcing things. He's not trusting himself. He's putting too much pressure on himself. Does he look more comfortable and composed in 2 games at home up against big opponents? He needs to find it because you're going to need him in SEC play. I'm watching for Ament. He's got to be one of your best players at the end of the season. And right now, right before conference play, is when you start getting some of that confidence. So I'm watching for Ament here, even though I would love to say the backup guard or that secondary guard. You still don't have that answer. Ethan Berg gives me a headache every time I watch him play. So I'm just going to go with importance here, and that's Ament. So I'm going to go there. What about you?
um, I think does Jaylen Carey Syracuse game, is that a teaser or is that an appetizer? Or can it be a full meal? Can that
Mm-hmm.
continue throughout the season? Is that his new norm? Is that double range or like 12 and 7 type of range, 13-6 type of range. Is that him,
Hmm.
or is that just a 1 game heater or a 2 game, 3 game stretch where okay, Jaylen Carey is playing good basketball? I think somehow, some way, I got faith that Gillespie cleans up his play. For sure. I think Gillespie cleans up his play, and hopefully Rick Barnes and the staff have talked about and talked to Ament. Hey, we're gonna do this for you. Try to get you going a little bit early because I remember us having these conversations after class about Lanier.
Hmm.
There was a stretch like Lanier had this little small like, bro, this guy sucks. Like he's
Yeah.
scary. He's not here for he's not doing what he needs to be doing.
Hmm.
And I think Barnes and his staff did a really good job with figuring out, hey, we're gonna get him going, getting him however many shots we need to so he can see the rim and they can get wider and wider even if he's off that night. I think they'll do the same for Ament, but like, can that third option be Carey still? Can Carey bang with these guys he's about to see Illinois, Louisville? And if so, I think the Vols got a pretty good shot, man.
Yeah, man. To a couple of important games, man. Tennessee's gonna have to
Yeah,
turn things around, or we'll be having a interesting next podcast on here.
yeah, for sure. But thank y'all for listening. That's a wrap on episode 3, I believe. I hope I don't have that number wrong. Jeremiah again is my co-host. Will, man, we're gonna be back. Hopefully, 2-0. Maybe we'll probably, I don't know. We'll probably do it after each game. Who knows? I'm pretty sure it's a pretty big gap in each one. But if not, hopefully it's a 2-0 little run from the Vols with a bounce back wins over two top 25 teams. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if y'all have any